Distinguished participants who are watching us from their screens. The most longest visionary meeting in Turkey, which combines very prestigious names and handles the agenda of Turkey and the world and watches the perspectives of the globe. We would like to welcome you to the fourth day of Forum Istanbul, and with the sponsorship of Turkish Exporters Assembly, Finance World, ABS, Denizbank, Gülsan, Turkish Economic Bank, Turkish Telecom, Big Brands, Media, Bersan Media Relations Sponsor, and Dünya Journal. This year's theme is to understand the future. The conference will continue for 5 days. The first 3 days have been yet completed, and you can follow the program from www.istanbulforum.com. And you can also follow Forum Istanbul 2023 conference's social media in order to actually follow the agenda. And distinguished participants, before passing to our first panel, I would like to remind you that you can use the Istanbul 2023 hashtag in order to send your comments or your questions. And all the questions and all your comments are going to meet with our panelists and our participants. Distinguished partners, the first session will be the future of smart cities and the new world order. And we are going to be talking about how did we use smart city technologies in combating the pandemic worldwide? What are the benefits of digital infrastructure? Why is 5G infrastructure important for the growth of smart cities? How do we use the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence technologies to manage the vital needs of cities from a single point and react immediately to possible problems? How can we create a sustainable city with intelligent transportation, energy efficiency, cybersecurity, and building solution? These are questions and also sub-questions that we are going to be talking about throughout the panel. And the moderator is Mr. Hakan, Güldağ, director of Dünya newspaper. Our speakers are Erdal Aksoy, founder and chairman, Aksoy Holding, GEM, Mr. Mohamad Ayoub from Diamond Developers, Senior Executive, and Budak, Director of ARUP, Mr. Faruk Göksu, Urban Planner, Mr. Haluk, Chairman and of the City Transformation and Urbanization Association, and Mr. Fatih, Director of Product and Services of Turkish Telecom. The floor is yours. Ms. Ebru, thank you very much for your announcement. First and foremost, I would like to greet you with all my deepest respects. Welcome to Forum Istanbul. It is the 20th year of Forum Istanbul, and I would like to congratulate you. From time to time, there might be some technical challenges that we are facing. Since the beginning of the week has been totally a Forum Istanbul week, actually, and now we are making the 7th session of the 4th day. And we'll be talking about the future of smart cities and the new world order. And we have very valuable speaker, as has been announced previously, but let me just share it with you once again. Mr. Erdal Aksoy, a very important business person. He's with us. Welcome. And also there are certain names that we follow as economists, Erdal Aksoy, and he's one of those people. He is also the founder and chairman of Aksoy Holding. And Mr. Haluk is also with us today. And we closely know him, and from the realty sector, he's one of the most prominent names in the realty sector. Mr. Sur, welcome. And we have they have also founded a new association, a new foundation, actually, and we'll be talking about it as well. And we have also a speaker from Dubai, Mr. Mohamad Ayoub. He is from the Diamond Developers Institute, senior executive, and we'll be talking about real sector, sustainable real sector, and digitalization within the framework of smart cities. Mr. Budak is well known around the world and the director of ARUP. Welcome to you as well, sir. And I think there are more than 15,000 experts that are actually under ARUP, and they follow 140 different projects, and they also have signed different projects in Turkey as well. Some are going to be debated today, but we are expecting a world perspective from Budak. And again, another name, distinguished Mr. A.Faruk Göksu, urban planner. Mr. Göksu, with his company, is looking for new innovative planning. So he has very much important studies, and we are going to listen to his experiences. And from the Turkish Telekom's Director of Products and Services, Mr. Fatih Türkoğlu, is also here with us, and he is going to be talking about digitalization in smart cities. Mr. Türkoğlu is going to be talking about smart cities, cyber security, and digital transformation, and the real new areas and fields and areas to grow. So I think that we are going to benefit from him as well. Mr. Erdal Aksoy, with your allowance, let us first see the big picture, and then with some certain proposals we can see, and we can talk about what we can do, which is very much important for the world and also for Turkey, because 75% of consumption in cities, in smart cities, that means that city minings, waste management, there are so many things that we need to be talking about. But first and foremost, if you allow me, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Ali Fuat Göksu. Can you please talk a little bit about the smart cities and how the smart cities are going to shape the future? And we are expecting a great deal of change in the near time. And 2020, due to COVID-19, made us actually go to a very rapid 10 years of future. And what will be the dynamics of tomorrow? What type of lifestyle will there be? And I would like to give the floor to you, Mr. Göksu. Are you ready, sir? Thank you very much. Yes, it was a wonderful introduction. The future of the cities. We need to, in order to see the picture, in order to see the smart cities, we need to see a big picture of it, because we're in a very complicated world. We live right now in a world where there are plenty of other types of risks and many other things. And 2030 and 2050 is very much important, and 2030 is about the United Nations sustainability goals, and they are almost coming to the end. How much of them has been realized and how much of them have not been realized? This is very much important to see on 2030. Even though it seems likely that 2050 is far, far away, but technological developments will be very much prominent, and I believe that it has started today. It will be a very different world, and we need to make a vision about the cities, of course, but we need to have an open democracy, a strong district, and good social structures. These are most important things that we need to be dwell upon. This 2030 and 2050 is very much important. It doesn't matter whether you're in the private sector or public sector, because the way of doing business is going to be done from over it, but we shouldn't also skip one a year, which is totally unique to us. It is 2023. 2023 is the beginning of the second 100 of the Turkish Republic's foundation. So, and in the beginning of the Republic, the economic, we know what has happened for the new economic model. I'm not going to be talking about them, but if we're talking about 2030 and 2050, or 2023, we need to be talking about the planning principles, and we need to bring them together with the new generation. We only have 2 years for that. And as a result of this discussion, on 2030 and 2050, design principles can be put out as in our own unique way. We're going to be talking about the future cities. I also need to make a certain determination here. The cities today are, well, more than 50%, 55% of the world population lives in the cities. But on 2050, until 2050, a plus 2.5 billion people are going to be added into the demographic. So 90% of them are going to live in Asia and Africa, according to the projection. In the global world, what does it mean? In such a world where there's connection, we need to really understand and evaluate that number. We know that there are no borders any longer. And one single thing, the small thing, can actually make a great impact. That development of demography and the spatial spreading has to be really thought very wisely. And if we're going to be talking about tomorrow, we should talk about change, particularly just after the last pandemic. Personally and also socially, on a social level, the pandemic has been on our focus. And there are two important concepts of this. One is the technological changes, and we are going to be talking about these matters indeed. The technological tools, the platforms have come to our lives. And also change has been triggered by crisis as well, starting from climate change, migration, or poverty. These are the things that we are continually facing. But the pandemic process on the other side also brings up another side of the crisis. I know we already knew these crises, they were already available, but the global crisis has brought us to bring these matters prior in the list. So it is important on how you are actually approaching to it. If you think that the pandemic is just a health problem, I don't think that we can actually find a solution. But if it is a system crisis, we need to find different solutions. In the future cities, there are two important things. There are two systems in the cities. One is the ecological system, the geography, the topography, water, and the plant harmony. And anthropology, with the infrastructure, with the construction, with the people. This is a whole total system in which one this. If the small cities approach can be understood by our managers and the private sector, there are two importance of this. How can we make the world we are living in a more livable place? And how can we increase the life quality of ourselves in the cities that we're living in? And secondly, how can we plan the future and design it? And the forum of today is understanding the future. The theme of the forum today is understanding the future. Of course, there are plenty of data, and we can only understand the future with those data, but we need to understand the data very well and know how to use it in order to actually develop the future and find strategies for this, and how to design the solutions, and how are we going to design the new structures. So they are all integrated together. So we need to evaluate each and every step in an integration. Of course, smart cities, smart growth is very much important. Since the 90s, it has become a very important concept. And there was also in the same years the urban renaissance period of time. So particularly in Europe, we have seen such certain types of planning. The city centers have been emptied and different types of problems have occurred. And cities now have to grow in a smarter way. And in order to manage it properly, people call this a new movement has started, and it is called the urban renaissance, so that the city centers can relive again, so that the young people can actively live within the cities. So revitalization, actually, in one way. But when we come to the 21st century, a new concept started. This is a new century concept. It's cities living for 24 hours, cities within cities. Now, they have been started to be done and people are discussing it. So we have developed our cities, they became compact, our cities and also the world cities. And within these compact cities, now the new century technologies have to meet the needs of the new economies and the new generation. So we need to write new stories for this. And that's the reason why they called it New Century Movement. So there are also subtitles such as City Within City, and they have supported it with them. Now, smart cities, what do they mean? And I am going to close my words with this in the first round. Well, the smart city started up with a definition. When knowledge is dense, where there's infrastructure, economies that are taking, that are actually creating an entrepreneurship. And then the idea of creating a smart city has occurred. If we're talking of smart city, then we need to talk about creation. And the new technology, generation technology should also be involved in it. And we need to also have smart managements for smart cities. So that creation idea has to be taken seriously. So where are we right now as smart cities? The approach of smart cities, or the tools, the technologies, are for better living, to rise the quality of life. Plus, different actors, that can be the private sector, public sector, or the NGOs, can give better decisions. These data, personally and also individually, and also so that the companies can come to a better level, and where a market can be created, these data are used. So think about a triangle. The most important thing here is that you have to have on the top a knowledge, a technological structure, and supporting them. For supporting them, we need to have smart applications. But the most important thing, finally, is experience, and how can the managers understand it? All the people, citizens can understand it. And plus, the experience of such a technology, has it been so far really understood or felt? If all of these three articles come up together, then we can actually talk about the smart city. Maybe in the second round, we can talk about it. Yes, Mr. Göksu, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to emphasize one thing, that we need to adopt and we need to make managers adopt these changes. Yes, we are living under the pandemic conditions. Each and every day, we know that the production has continued in Turkey. Almost 1/3 of workers have been working in the organized industrial regions. I'm sure Mr. Aksoy will be also talking about it. But we have brought these places into the center of the organized industrial centers. So the administrators of the organized industrial regions and municipalities. I'm really curious, do they really know where these people reside in? But the Ministry of Health, when it has shared the data very comfortably, based on the districts according to their risk levels? Could they use big data to bring these people to the organized industrial regions? I think they could have used it, but they have to adopt it. They have to internalize it so that we could manage everything very well. And when you say it, actually, it has come to my mind, and I just want to thank you very much for that reason. And you have also said that we need experience, and I'll give the floor to a person who is very much experienced, who has experience all around the world, Mr. Budak, along with ARUP. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. In Turkey, in Japan, and in the UK, Mr. Budak has worked for many years, and he has managed a lot of projects in the Middle Eastern countries, Hong Kong, United States, Africa, and in Turkey as well. He has managed many projects, and I want him to talk about his experience with us, and he has a presentation very swiftly. He'll be talking about how to create value with digitalization in smart cities. We will be listening to him. I'm really curious what he's going to tell us. Thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Hakan, for the kind words, and good morning, everyone. So I'm very pleased to be here taking part of this exciting panel. So I would like to share my screen. This is the digital, so it's all about the digital we are talking about. So let's see how it works. I hope you could see the screen. Thumbs up. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think that so there is no. I think as Hakan and Faruk said, I think there is no clear definition of a smart city. What it is, smart city actually. So each city has their own particular take on it. As long as the technology firm forms the bedrock of the to enhance people's life, putting people first, then we can talk about the smart city. Is actually this is a simple 5-layer model. It does not attempt to break down a city into different domains such as transport, social systems, economy, energy, environment, etc. But it does attempt to illustrate the different ways in which digital technology can create value due to its nature. So this is how we do that: by creating connectivity, by enabling assets and infrastructure to be intelligent, by managing and enabling the control sharing of data and function, allowing cities to become digitally adaptable, and by providing new end user services, and finally by enabling new skills and economic growth. I would like to give a few case studies for each of those areas so they just make it a bit clearer. So the first one is the West Midland 5G. The West Midland is a district or area in the UK. So the Department of the Digital Culture, Media and Sports are driving a program to stimulate 5G coverage in the UK and identify new products and the services using it. The West Midlands has been chosen as the location for an urban connected communities test bed, and West Midland 5G established innovation testbeds for themes such as construction, manufacturing, transport, health and safety, and well-being. As we provided advice to the UK government over 2 years on the design and focus of their urban innovation demonstrator. We also helped the West Midlands Combined Authority in their successful bid to secure the demonstrator and its associated funding, and help them set up West Midland 5G Special Purpose Vehicle as a delivery organization. So there are different mechanisms you could push it, different part of technology. So this is one way of doing it. So the next second, I would like to talk about the assets. So this is the Milton Keynes Go Ultra Low scheme. As a growing number of electrical vehicles have presented a significant additional load on the city's electricity grid. Not managing this would soon cause supply infrastructure issues. As even in Turkey, we try to get electric vehicle, try to increase the usage of the electric vehicle like many other big cities. So this is a big issue is coming and going to face us. As part of the Milton Keynes 2050 strategy, we have collated data about driving behavior of electrical vehicles in Milton Keynes to understand really their real world energy demand. Also, we have devised energy management strategies to minimize electricity consumption and reduce peak demand. One of the strategies is to coupling of electrical vehicle charging with solar electricity generation, actually using the local battery storage within our own home. We have a network of households with electric vehicles, and the PV generation being monitored in a fine resolution to establish a degree of synergy possible. We have also assisted the delivery of UK's first public accelerated charging hubs, so that people doesn't have to wait long, so they could easily charge their car within a short space of time. So the program is now in delivery, and the first rapid charging hub opened in 2019 in Milton Keynes. This is about the data. So this is a project Neuron that we have developed as a program. So applying machine learning to an open building systems architecture creates maintenance and energy improvement. Neuron integrates the data from building systems with machine learning to learn patterns in buildings and building use and behavior, and to enable optimization through predictive approach. For instance, in the water cube in Beijing, that also with, or like it part of the designing of it, through energy usage optimization, operational savings for up to 25% have been realized. With the air pollution, a major concern for Beijing, like in Istanbul, a network of Internet of Things sensors deployed in the venue, continuously monitoring indoor air quality. So this is an example for the end user services. This is a Collingwood Art Precinct. The Collingwood Art Precinct was a joint research project with Monash University and ARUP, and how emerging digital service layers possible in contemporary places and spaces can support what a cultural building is or could be. Through ethnographic field user research combined with the understanding of new technologies, we devised new placemaking strategies and tactics for the flagship Creative Victoria project. ARUP collaborated with the Monash University to research and prototype Internet of Things solutions within an operational public space in Melbourne. We explored how Internet of Things can enhance social connection and community resilience, and meeting the needs of the precincts, its tenants, and the local community. A key initiative involved using refit tokens and e-ink displays to foster social connections within the precinct. So there's a social element to it of the smart city. And finally, the enablement. This is the Birmingham Smart City Alliance. This is founded in 2012. It is a non-commercial collaboration of more than 20 institutions, including practitioners from universities, local authorities, businesses, voluntary organizations, and SMEs, as such, from across the whole West Midlands region. It supports bottom-up smart innovation in the West Midlands area within the UK. For instance, one of the initiatives that it started called Harborne Food School. The school was founded with the mentorship and the business development assistance from the Alliance. In fact, actually I live 5 minutes away from it. I can see it's a great place and making residents' life much better within the area. So it is all about the enhancing residents' life quality and making a livable city. The school is a community interest company that uses profits from its commercial activities to support initiatives supporting food, health, and sustainability. The school recently won International Milan Urban Food Prize for its work on diabetes prevention in Birmingham. So the Smart City Alliance has secured several millions to support digital skills programs in collaboration with local employers and universities. So I think it's quite important for a smart city. There are four influences, the government, academia, and civil societies, as well as the private investors and the companies. You need to get them involved. So this is a good examples of that. With that, I would like to give it back to you. Hakan, thank you.
Mr. Budak, I'd like to thank you very much. You have used the time very efficiently and you have given us a lot of information. At the same time, I'd like to thank you very much. It's been great. Thank you so much. Actually, like you have stated, certain things have come to my mind. Yes, all of these things are, maybe you are not showing a profit-oriented approach, but everything that is going on is actually a precursor of a great economy because it requires a huge competitive advantage. It requires huge competitive strength because in the upcoming period, there seems to be two important axes developing because after the pandemic, two important axes will be the main axis: digitalization and green transformation. Green transformation and digitalization are related to growth and employment, and we have to remember that. We have to keep it in our perspective because for many years, I believe our next speaker has had it in his perspective, Mr. Erdal Aksoy. If you are ready, Mr. Aksoy, I want you to talk about sustainable development perspective. So how should we approach to the sustainable cities perspective? What can you say to us based on your experience for many years? What are your recommendations that you can filter through your long years of experience? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be with you.
So thank you very much. I have listened to very distinguished speakers previous myself, and I'm sure that I am going to learn lots of more from my friends coming after me. I would like to thank Yavuz Canevi first and foremost for organizing such a wonderful congress, and also Dünya Journal and all the team and all the institution, Mr. Ganjilar as well. Thank you very much for bringing Istanbul Forum so far for the 2021. Now, we are going to be talking about the smart cities. So far, what we have learned from you, the most important thing of a smart city is a smart communication infrastructure. That is the most important thing. So in where we are today, we have fiber investments and we need to use 5G. So this is a communication system that I'm talking about. If the fiber investments and 5G should be handled in Turkey, in one way we see here that there is a state itself and also the municipality. They want to earn money from this. Of course, they would like to earn money from this, but first of all, you need to create it. So you need to make the investments at first, and later maybe there will be a better return in the future. And the practical solution for this is like in the Singapore model. And I was thinking about the Singapore model. Now the municipality and the state, at least for these industrial parks, the state and the municipalities, in order to earn money from that, should give up tolerance for this. The existing structure, of course, has to continue to be improved. They have to get smarter indeed. An industrial park is the sand pool, as a sand pool of technology. And that is the reason why a Singapore model is very much necessary. And I preferred a place from Diyarbakir to Urfa, which is the southeastern side of Turkey. Why? Because in Diyarbakir and Urfa, the petroleum and chemistry will also have manufactured petroleum, and also raw materials of petroleum are going to be manufactured, and also in other parts of the southeastern area. And hopefully there will be peace also in that area. between Armenia and Azerbaijan, I hope we can also solve the problem of Karabakh, and we need to actually longer the line to Nakhchivan, and we can reach to Middle Eastern part of the world. And as it is said before by Faruk, the population, if they're going to live mostly in Asia and Africa, what will be the position of Turkey? In particular, we have seen during the pandemic that, okay, we talk about the globalization, but islandization has come to a very critical point. We need to island ourselves. If between Asia and, show me another country between Asia and Africa. And I just initiated this project to start from just one place for the future ones. I'm sure my friends are going to be talking about the smart cities and pandemics. China was #1 in that because they had 5G and also the fiber infrastructure. And they have taken the pandemic under control. And they follow the people with the cars, with the vehicles. They imprisoned it, they blocked the people, and in parallel, of course, found the medicine for it and spread it around the world. So whoever has a smart communication, be sure they can actually find many things. And on the other side, we as well in Turkey made the best thing that we could do. We have made great programs. We have followed everything greatly, and we still are following. So China, in the meantime, had found the medicine, and Europe and the United States also has found at the same time. Hopefully, we will do it too soon. Now, look into a program. I'm not going to talk about IoT, etc. But of course, what are they? These are important. What is 5G? These frequencies, we are narrowed in these frequencies. We become slower. We want to actually increase the actual coverage, and we want to have a faster communication. And later on, if you have that infrastructure, sensors are involved in it, or IoT. With the IoT, after censoring it, we put also an audiovisual, video visual as well, and then we collect it in a data visual, so that it will not be lost. So and also there is the artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence receives the data. It is operating the data and interpreting it and gives the order for it. So they try to actually give the best actually productive way of flowing the information. Of course, these are, my friends will talk about this in a more broader sense perhaps, but in order that the communication is fast and in order there's flexibility, we need to have a very strong 5G and fiber. So what will happen in Turkey? I am not inventing anything, and all the success stories in the world are taken here to Turkey by myself. And throughout my life, I have been partners with the largest energy groups. And we always wanted to bring the most recent technology to Turkey. Taking a look to the crisis in the world, the most largest crisis was, the last crisis was in 1994 in China after Russia was dissolved. In China, 1994, couldn't find even $1 million, and the United States was a threat here. And how did he find a solution? Between 1965, 1990, Singapore, they asked actually, Singapore was founded, and after, because people from China have been actually exiled or have been escaped to Singapore, and China asked for money from Singapore, and Singapore showed the best thing. They have actually built up the best industrial park, and that was also an example. There are, I'm sure, more than 1,000 industrial parks right now in China, and the world has started to do that as well. Without exemption, in particular, those that have been founded by Singapore, I have not seen anything, any type of an industry or any kind of a development that has been failed. We try to understand what they did, whatever they put in it, they were incredible. That system has been executed well. Asia and in between Asia and Africa, there is the around the Middle Eastern Gulf. There is Turkey. Now we have the Ceyhanbuk region, the Seyhan, and also other regions which can actually go through to Asia and also Africa very shortly. There are a few things that I would like to say again, but you can actually detail it in the next round. But I want to say a few things more. Okay, and every period of time, the industry, of course, has been developed and incentives have been given. But all these incentives doesn't actually attract any kind of an investment that we were longing for. And the reason why is actually it's already started in Hong Kong and then followed by Dubai, and even it also there were models that have been used in Ireland. So what do we have to do? A governance risk has to be eliminated, which is a very important issue. And another thing here is indeed we have great challenges about the legislative codes. Due to legislation, there are some certain blockages, and we need to make certain changes here in the legislation as well. In such a region, please do come and let us make our super infrastructure. Let us give a service of 5G. Let's implement it. Let's apply it. And let's make this place let the technology come here and let the people work here. And the Turkish people, as from intelligence, as from knowledge, is very leading in the invention of 5G within Hawaii. Erdal Arıkan has been very prominent. Turkey, wherever they go, are creating something. But we wish that these wonderful things can be created also in our country. In the next round, I will talk further. Thank you very much. It was a very visionary approach. They were great messages. And I would like to give the floor to Mr. Fatih Türkoğlu. Mr. Türkoğlu, Mr. Aksoy was highlighting some certain things, and they said that if we start talking about the definition of smart cities, we need to be talking about the fiber infrastructure. We need to talk about the digital infrastructure, digital transformation. They were talking about 5G, and they said that we are not narrowed inside today's frequencies, and we should actually get out of it. That's the reason why it doesn't actually meet the needs of the society. So how would you actually define smart cities? By the way, Mr. Aksoy has also said that China has, due to the infrastructure of China, they immediately solved the pandemic. And definitely the smart cities and digitalization issue. Do you think that this digitalization or this new changes has reached to a level where it actually deserved? Yes. Thank you very much. And I would like to greet you with my all deepest respects. And as a leading company, we are very proud to be in one of the we are very happy to be in the center of a largest metropole here in Turkey. And of course, we are making certain changes so far, and I am going to talk about these matters. As Mr. A.Faruk has said, and Mr. Can was talking about technologies and the necessary legislations have been actually debated that they should be actually changed.
And urban transformation, city planning, sustainable life spheres, they have been on the agenda of the governments and they have been needed. That's why they have been at the focal point of the municipalities. We have talked about urban transformation. And megacities can have it on their agendas because they have great organizations and their city planners have a better perspective and they have followed some other cities' plans. But it must be at the center and focal point of all cities in our country. Smart cities are at the very basis of the issue, and technological capacities and all the governance models have been adopted by all cities. When we look at the articles, we can see different definitions about this concept. Some of them say that it enables the governance styles of the municipalities. Some says it makes citizens' lives easier. And actually, it is all about human beings. At the center of this issue, we can see human beings because the better we do for enabling the lives of our people, the better the cities will be, the more smarter the cities will be. The smart concept has been touched upon for many times up until now. We talked about smart cities, smart devices, smart people, smart buildings, but maybe it has been a bit twisted, it has been a bit diverted. Maybe instead of smart concept, we have to have another title like new generation cities or else skilled cities. Instead of smart concept, new generation concept must be at the center of our discussions, because inside that definition, inside that new generation definition, the circles that were not valid before the pandemic have become much more important, like health, because in the past health were at this cities were at the center of everything, but right now it is all about decentralization. Maybe people will be away from the center, city centers. In the past, smart cities were defined in that respect. Certain figures I'd like to give you, if you allow me. So 9 biggest cities in the world provided $9.5 billion additional income, but only the first 10 big cities of the world right now can give the same value. So I'm sure that in a couple of years, based on the World Economic Forum, this figure will be much more about the human health being at the very focal point, not the cities per se. Yes, we say that the health is very crucial and the quality of life of the people is very crucial. But if we can see the lives of the people at the center, then smart cities definition will be changed. It is not about digitalization of the parks or gardens of the city, but it's rather health and safety and security. Maybe the people will be concerned whether they will have some health issues when they are in a crowded place, for instance. Maybe NGOs and also municipalities and technology providers, I believe they will make people much more safe and secure. This is what they're going to need. Of course, it has fiber and 5G at the very center of this problem, and we are right now working on 5G. In a couple of years, probably we will lay the foundation for 5G in Turkey. But as Turkish Telecom, as Türk Telecom, we are the biggest fiber provider. Each and every year, 20,000, 30,000 fiber investments are made. And majority of the fiber investments are to the doors of the individuals so that high-speed internet could be enabled, and majority of it is to solve the needs of the public institutions, from the cameras and security cameras, and also artificial intelligence reach and latency is very low, by the way. It has high performance, so we try to increase the performance of all the equipments in the city. And for some municipalities, citizens can receive technological services, and we try to provide uninterrupted service to our municipalities. It is not only about access. Erdal Bey has touched upon access too much, but if we associate it with, if we limit it to access, it is not the comprehensive meaning, because it brings cybersecurity attacks. We have to also protect the infrastructure that we have founded, so that we can prevent vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Cybersecurity must also be attached importance. This is essential. Yes, there is a very wide range of access network, and there is data which is protected on the cybersecurity. We protect the data with artificial intelligence. We collect data from data sensors, but having data, collecting data is not meaningful just by itself. You have to have some meaningful consequences and meanings out of the data. Just an example, if I'm to give you, Newcastle University City Observatory House tried to understand how to keep the social distance better, how to make people keep the social distance better. And they looked at the mobility data of the people, they looked at the transportation, traffic, lights, and they have looked every kind of data. And at the end, by collecting the data, they have come to an understanding. They said that at a certain point, for instance, you have to prevent the crowdings. Otherwise, it will distort the hygiene environment. I am just giving you this example. Unless we utilize the data, nothing will happen actually. If the data just remains on the storage house, it will just be a burden on the storage house. That's it. Managers, administrators, authorities must be raised awareness. Their awareness must be raised, definitely. I need to know what kind of an awareness must be created, and this is how I think actually. And in this respect, smart city definition, I believe in the post-pandemic era, we need to replace it with the new generation cities. Thank you very much, Mr. Turkoğlu. Thank you so much. There are some questions from Konya to you, but in the second part, I'll deliver those questions to you. Maybe at the end we will have some other questions, so collectively we will have a questions and answer sessions. Thank you very much. Now I'll give the floor to Mohamad Ayoub, because at the end, smart cities include some buildings and real estate developments, right? But they need new conditions, they need new possibilities, they need to be sustainable. So we have to be developing sustainable real estate, and it must be digitalized. But how is that possible in the future? Do we have experience in that respect? I'd like to ask this question to Mr. Ayoub. So future cities, when we develop future cities, environmental problems, how to tackle with them? This is an important question. So these questions, maybe we can start with that, Mr. Ayoub, and in the second round, I'll ask other questions. Yes, Mr. Ayoub, if you are ready, you can start. I'll give the floor to you. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Ayoub.
Thank you.
It will
Thank
be in
you,
English
Hakan.
and we will be translating. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Hakan, and thanks a lot for all of the panelists. It's really a pleasure to join the Forum Istanbul 2021, and I was really amazed by the input that we have received from all of the panelists before me, whether it's Mr. Erdal, Mr. Ali, or Mr. Budak, or Mr. Fethi. And I think Turkey has been a great and remarkable destination for real estate investments in general within our region and globally, in the same manner that Dubai is acting as well as a remarkable investment opportunities for many investors across the globe. Let me start by first introducing myself and what we do, and then I'll jump into the question that you have asked, Hakan. So my name is Mohamad Ayoub. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer at Diamond Developers Environment and Engineering. And DD, which is Diamond Developer, is a private real estate developer founded in 2003. And since then, we have delivered over 7 million square feet of sustainable developments. So what is the key of smart cities, or what does smart cities means? In my opinion, the true definition of smart cities is the cities that really can be leveraging the data in the right manner. And it's not enough to just collect the data, as Fethi said. We need to have the meaningful data utilized and implemented in the right application to get value for the residents and for the operators of those cities, as well as for the legislation bodies to ensure that we continue the improvement within this space. To give the definition, Hakan, we look at smart sustainable cities from three aspects, I would say. The first one being sustainable socially, the second one being sustainable economically, and the third one is being sustainable environmentally. Of course, the easier part is the environmental one, because it's you will be run by figures. There will be KPIs. You can understand how much carbon footprint that you can produce from your development and how you can reduce that carbon footprint as you're developing and as you're operating these smart cities. However, the importance is to ensure that you are across the boundaries between these three silos: social, environmental, and economical. And I'll give a little bit an example when it comes to all of these three aspects to ensure that you kind of understand the concept that we have been developing at the Sustainable City in Dubai, and we're developing as well in other projects that we are currently engaged in, whether it's in Sharjah, Oman, Amman, Jordan, as well as Abu Dhabi. So the whole idea of sustainability is to ensure that you're reducing your carbon footprint. However, create a community that can be islanded, back to the point that Erdal mentioned. The idea of having a sustainable, smart city is to ensure that this city can exist in times like the ones that we're living in times of pandemic, where you have little bit impacted relationships with the broader environment that you're having, and you need to have the ability to sustain within the city itself. So this is really crucial to ensure that you are building the capabilities of these cities within the city itself. And that's why under the environmental sustainability, we look at 6 different pillars that we are focusing on when we're developing any future city, starting with food, to ensure that we are providing food security for the residents within the cities, to ensure that they're having an ability to reach out and ensure that they are planting their food within the city itself. And then energy is to ensure that you are capable of producing the energy that you need within the city itself. And we have done this in Dubai with implementing more than 10 megawatt of solar rooftop in the villas, as well as on the parking lots. And this is equivalent to the overall energy that we require over the year. So basically, we are a net zero development, ensuring that we are generating the electricity that we would consume within the city. And then it goes into the mobility to ensure that you are creating either internally or externally the right setup that has a lower carbon footprint to communicate internally within the city itself and ensure that you're interconnected with the outer world with the least footprint transportation tools, ensuring that you are having the right infrastructure for the shift towards electric vehicles, and enabling the people to adopt to that shift. And this is, again, a major point that we really need to look at and ensure that we're addressing, which is the technology might be there. We might have the right technologies available, but we need to ensure that this technology is deployed in the right manner. It is meaningful for the people to apply it, and it has the right business model in terms of feasibility to be implemented in any of our future developments. The second aspect is encouraging the people to adopt and utilize these technologies in the cities that we're developing. I wanted to just highlight one point about the digitalization. When it comes to any future city, digitalization is a major area that we need to focus on. However, it does not really represent an isolated topic. Digitalization is on the top of each and every aspects of development. And back to what I was saying, if we're developing a sustainable city that has social, environmental, and economical aspects, digitalization will be the basis, or it will be the ability to interconnect all of these different areas and ensure that we are getting a real outcome out of living in these communities, as well as developing these communities in the future. Data are really important. It's needed. Collecting the data is as crucial. However, the right collection of data needs to come and happen with an intention. We cannot really digitalize stuff out of trying to digitalize it for the sake of digitalization. We do the digitalization and digital transformation of the data within the city to ensure that we are getting the outcomes that we need. And then at the end of the day, those data will represent the raw material where we can apply physics, we can apply equations, and then we can improve the living standards of the people, ensure that we are driving behavior within the cities, and ensure that we are reducing the overall carbon footprint of our urban developments, and help the United Nations goals of achieving a neutral carbon by 2050, which is really important. If we continue on the way that we're developing today, it's gonna lead us to a disaster. We just need to aggressively reduce the carbon footprint of our real estate developments. And to do this, we need to start collecting data, ensuring that we are applying the measures and controls while developing, and ensure that those communities that we are developing, Hakan and the team, are set to a standard to meet the goal of 2050 to achieve neutral carbon footprint for urban developments. More people will be moving to cities. The idea is how we can ensure that while we are developing the need of those people who are moving to cities, we are preserving the environmental concerns that we're having, reducing the global warming phenomena that we're seeing, and ensure that we are challenging ourselves from one project to another project to reduce the overall carbon footprint of our development. Probably in the next rounds, I'll be speaking about how the technology is really required to ensure that the behavior of the people is changing and how the behavior of the people will impact the results that we can get out of deploying technologies in real estate developments. Back to you, Hakan.
Thank you very much. Actually, you have already said what I was going to say. Thank you very much. But really, when we are talking about this, the adaptation of human beings and the human behaviors to smart cities operations and the importance of the human behaviors, these are very, very crucial. Thank you very much. We have to discuss this very briefly. We are going to have a second round. It's going to be very brief, but thank you so much. So in the first round, last but not least, I'd like to give the floor to Haluk. Haluk, like I've mentioned, you have already founded Kentsel. It's a very new foundation. It's just been established the last year. Yes, and urban transformation and urbanization has been dealt with in this foundation. And Haluk is the head of this foundation. Yes, we are talking about many facts, many issues, the real estate part and also digitalization and infrastructure. And also there is also the governance side of it. So what do you want to say about the governance part, especially the smart cities dimension, because the dimensions, pillars of these smart cities, these are very crucial. And the concept of smart city, how should we understand that?
Mr. Hakan, thank you very much for your introduction. I'm from Istanbul in 2001 with Mr. Özgencil. We had a dinner, and with this dinner, we started to actually decided to implement this panel. And for years and years, and after Mr. Yavuz, I also was a director of it. And the platform was the greatest idea platform. When we made the first panel, people were saying that, are you going to be talking about a vision for 2020? Is that possible? I don't think it's possible, people said, but we did it. And now we are very close to 2023, and we are almost at the verge of a new era. So with Mr. Özgencil has paid a lot of effort for making this panel. They made a great contribution. And however, Mr. Sheriff is important, maybe is not listening, but Ms. Özgencil is right now following this process. I would like to wish her success. And I'm sure that she is also going to make great work as his father has made. And I'm sure that we are going to make great achievements after 2023 as well. So if we talk about us, our issue here, our theme, what is life? And within life, there are people. Well, our planet is the blue planet, and there is no other in the universe, and the sources are used, and we cannot regulate ourselves well, and that is the reason why we are actually really in struggle, because these types, if we continue these consumptions in 2050, unfortunately, the carbon footprint will be a great big problem, and it is not possible to overcome the climate change. And that is the reason why we need to change the production and consumption habits. So we need to actually reevaluate them, and we have to come over some certain habits. And small cities are a very complementary part of this. Why? Because the greatest population, millions of people, it's not easy to manage millions and trillions of people's needs, but we need to make some certain consolidations, and we need to actually talk about the big data and analyze it. And also by using the artificial intelligence, we can optimizingly use our resources. This is the only way right now we can do, and we can actually achieve a better life standard. If we can talk about the structures as for urban transformation, of course, it's a great problem, because we are a country of earthquake. 90% of the land is within the earthquake zones. Every 2-3 years, we are facing a big earthquake, and that's the reason why we need to actually evaluate the constructions, the buildings. And that is the reason why we need to rebuild and make new building areas. And that is the reason why 25 million buildings have to be demolished and remade. And that's the reason why we need to make a 450 million of an investment. And only this way can we overcome the earthquake problem. So hence the world is changing. And since we are talking about a green transformation, water has become, is very rare right now, and is very important when we think about the globe. Yes, we have oceans, lakes, rivers, but drinkable water is only 2.5 of the whole water sources in the world. And 2/3 of it is in the northern part of the world, is in the northern globe. And so what we need to do here, we need to make the urban transformation. We need to do it with a green transformation. We need to have green buildings, and they have to be smart as well. So of course, in all of the changes and the focus, we need to talk about the people. Where there are people, indeed, we do not definitely need a smart or intelligent intelligence. In 1981, for instance, with a NATO scholarship, I went to the University of Washington in Seattle. And I went to I took the bus and went to the city center. The bus stopped. And on the pedestrian sides, there have been a small ramp. And with the ramp, I see that the pedestrian road and the road itself was the same at level. One day the bus opened the door, the bus driver opened the door, and there was a platform here, and the platform came with the same level of the pedestrian road. So he took a wheelchair, a person with a wheelchair, he has fixed this guy on this platform and pushed the button, and with that button, the platform went down, and then he went out of the bus and left the bus. And the platform raised again, and the door was closed, and the bus drive forward. So this is the reason why the city life should be integrated with the people. Of course, this is just a small example from 40 years ago. And again, when we talk about the earthquake in the same city in 1981, I read in the newspaper, in 20 years, they were making actual preparation of an earthquake with a magnitude of more than 7. They were expecting in 20 years a big earthquake, and they were trying to refurbish them accordingly to this. And the Seattle city had also an earthquake just afterwards, as news with a magnitude of 7.1, 7.2. There was only one person who died just because a brick fell down from a house to the head of a person walking down there. And of course, these are important issues, and they have been actually supported with smart city approaches and also data and analysis. In 2012, the New Technologies Foundation had a meeting, and I attended it, and the moderator was from London School of Economics, a professor, and he was talking about Cisco, Ericsson, and Siemens CEOs were actually debating. And they were talking about the electrical vehicles of Volvo and the optimization of the electricity and how to widespread it throughout the country. So such studies are ongoing still. And we have also an action plan as a foundation, and we have shared that action plan with the government. We were tackling upon 6 articles: smart economy, smart people, smart communication, and active mobility, active environment and natural resources, and active life. These have been all integrated together, and a new strategic plan has to be made, and an existing analysis have to be found, and we need to determine the capacities for this. For that, on the other hand, studies should be made, and afterwards a strategic action plan's first draft has to be shared with the shareholders, and a maturity evaluation has been made, and now we go further to another model. So we shared it with the ministry. I know that we do not have much time, and I do not want to take much time. That would be great, Mr. Sur. Thank you very much. By the way, the second round will be very short because we do not have much time, and there are a few questions, and I want to ask those questions. For instance, Mr. Faruk Göksu, there are a few questions that have come to him. Yes, as you said, from over the points that you have declared, how can we create a sustainable smart city? That was a question. How can we create a sustainable smart city, Mr. Faruk Göksu? Yeah, very briefly, I can respond to your question. And according to the information I received from our speakers, I'm going to be tackling on 3 issues. If the cities are going to be smart or livable, whatever the terminology is, needs new stories. That needs to be precisely understood. And Mr. Erdal has overall talked about it. And now borderless borders. We're talking about borderless borders, and we need to have cooperation interregionally, and we need to change our behaviors, and our business way of doing business has to be done accordingly to that. And new ecosystems are constructed. We have existent ecosystems, vital and flowing systems, and new systems will be added upon it. How are we going to integrate to those systems? And Mr. Erdal, we have seen some certain clues about this. Thirdly, when we talk about smart cities, it can start with green building and green codes. All of these processes are very meaningful, of course, but it is not sufficient, because the system crisis that we are in show us that it is not sufficient. And that is the reason why you, Mr. Hakan, as you said, digitalization is a new discovery and it will proceed. But green transformation is to rediscover what we had before. This is definitely also always available with the nature itself. So in the future, ecologic cities, bioformic cities are going to be shaped. Now you cannot produce earth or soil or land. And this is a place of discussion as planners. We understand that the cities are more going to be intensely populated. And due to the climate change, the people are going to, actually, seashores are going to be affected, and the rural areas during the whole transformation will create a new system, design a new system. And this new design system, they call it, I guess, it's a general one of National Geographic, and with a study that has been made with important architects, biomorphic, they were talking about the biomorphic change from public cities. They are talking about rooms. How are we going to do it? By reinventing this nature. How are we going to create the smart cities? And I have 2 proposals, 2 book proposals. For those who are listeners, Kenan Mortan who has written a book about the Kusta report, one of the professors of Oxford University. He says that with the existing economic structures, we cannot talk about today's world. We need to create a new ecosystem about this. Secondly, it is translated as Smith Economy, Keith Rayton's book. The messages given here is that crisis, opportunities, the proceedings, in order to evaluate them all, there are a lot of things that we should learn from nature. In nature, there is a system, and these systems are used by technological companies. The planners are using the system. In order to we need to understand the system properly, reinvent it, and need new flows. We need to look to the matter from the big picture. Of course, very important messages or examples have been given where people are in the focus of all these changes. And of course, there are feelings, emotions, etc. They are important to recreate the cities. In the future, there are plenty of opportunities, and we can convert the crisis to opportunity, and we should actually develop them accordingly. Thank you very much. We have wonderfully actually briefly explained it. I couldn't take all the notes that you said, but maybe later we can talk about it again. Mr. Aksoy, Mr. Faruk says that, yes, of course, there are plenty of things on changing the crisis into opportunity. Of course, the business people are doing a lot of things. They're more competent about this. I do not want to say that they are doing the best, but they know it. And you were talking about Erdal Arıkan. Yes, with the Singapore model in southeastern region of Turkey, if there an industrial park is going to be established, then do we immediately need a 5G right now in Turkey? I'm not sure, but could it be regional? Maybe within an organized industrial region. 5G has started, and in China, in some cities, they have started. So maybe business people can have some certain suggestions and with some certain leadings. Do you think that new different types of things can be put in that industrial park? I said that rather than technique, we need more business. I am a business person and also an investor. And once again, thank you again for giving me this opportunity. I didn't understand from Mr. Fatih. I didn't understand. What I try to say here is, when we want to do everything all at once, we cannot do anything at all. Let us do, please, a pilot study first and foremost, and let us not do this pilot studies ourselves. Let us get the best practices of the world and implement it there. Let us have a laboratory of this, and let us have all the smart cities, biodiversity, and let us make such studies. Such studies are already been made. And that is the reason why we shouldn't even reinvent it. This is actually a sand pool for technology. Let all our young people come and work here or from abroad. I was talking about an Irish model. And then I talked about Hong Kong. I talked about China, and then I came to Dubai. Why has Dubai become Dubai? And all of these issues here is about governance, and also there is the governance and legislation risk, as I said before. They have to be overcome. At least limited authorization could be given, and a pilot study should be made there with best practices. And particularly in the geography of Turkey, in the world, as you can understand, the largest crisis after the pandemic is supply, the supply chain. The Suez Channel was closed. Nobody could do anything. So not everybody can actually reach to their products. Turkey is in such a geography that we can actually give service to all parts of the world. And let us start with a single model. A single model would be sufficient in the beginning, for the beginning. And how can, within this, how can we not talk about 5G or fiber, etc.? That's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I'm very hopeful. And I think that this is going to be a very fast model, and I gave very much importance. It's going to be done in Azerbaijan, in Kazakhstan, and maybe in Syria, and also in northern Iraq, in order to develop the region. And then we can go further to Africa and Asia. So we have a great opportunity at hand. When we try to do all at once, we cannot do anything. That should be also one thing that I have to say. And I will be coming to Mr. Fatih as well. But Mr. Jam, if it's okay.
Yes, experience is very important. You have mentioned, and you have been carrying out projects with respect to smart cities, and you have a project in Bursa. Can you please share what kind of activities have you been implementing? What is the roadmap for Bursa specific to your project? What can you share with us? Thank you. Cem Bey, you can proceed in English. It doesn't matter, however you wish.
Thank you, Hakan. I'm not sure about the time scale what we have, because I could share some screenshots, so that might be visual, so it explains that better. So I'll just put that on the screen. So I think that, thank you. I think it has been very useful discussion.
So very swiftly, very fast, maybe you can share some important issues you can select very swiftly and at best possible time. Thank you.
Yeah, will do. I think they'll just give me a couple of minutes, I think, rather than going through the whole lot. So we've been working with the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office in the UK. So they have a program globally in the 10 countries, 19 cities, called Future Cities Program. 5 projects as part of that one, 4 municipalities we're involved in Turkey. So Istanbul Metropolitan, Bursa, Ankara, and Çankaya municipalities take part. So we've been working with UN Habitat as our partner, and we are sort of using EY and IMC as our sub-consultant. So if I just going to go through, these are the projects that we've been doing. So in Ankara, a bicycle master plan and the Healthy Streets project, and Istanbul Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan for Istanbul, and participatory urban planning implementation model and training. And Bursa, the one I'm just going to talk about, is the transforming Bursa into smart city. So I think the Fatih Bey mentioned is about the, rather than calling a smart city, we should call new generation. I think I agree with that. Now is the third generation smart city is coming up, and using especially resilience and space, as Faruk Bey will appreciate, and as a planner, using the space within the city. And Mohamad talked about the sustainability, of importance of the sustainability. And then Erdal Bey mentioned as a pilot scheme or academia, a need of those, and Haluk Bey said that putting people in the first center. So I think that hopefully within the Bursa we try to address all of those as a single pilot scheme. So this is the Bursa Smart City project. So it's about 24 months program, and so this is the whole idea. Is we're starting with the context analysis. So what is required? We try to get the public insights, so put the people at the center. And then so how does Bursa compare with the rest of the world? So we've done the benchmarking and put the maturity model, and we've done lots of literature review. So what has been done around the world, so that we have the increasing capacity of our local municipality. And the next one is actually, we said that smart city could be many things to the many cities. So we asked people and the governance of the Bursa. So what is their vision of the smart city? I think that's quite crucial. Sometimes we jump the gun and try to do something using the technology, but I'm afraid so we may end up with a technology wasteland if we are not planning carefully. So I think that we need to start from the governance and so what is the people and the governance want to sort of implement. So we've done that, and the strategy development, we've done the gap analysis, governance structure, and action plan. And now we are in the last bit of the study, so we are trying to come up with a pilot scheme. And because we've gone through about 100 different projects, we selected and we prepared the cards, etc. And also we are trying to establish a smart city academy. So that is, I think, the Haluk done in a different, the way, but we are trying to do within the Bursa, try to establish that. So hopefully, so there are lots of numbers that just shows that what we have done, which I'm not going to go through. I think the clear message from our end is just is putting the people first, is the holistic approach of the future cities rather than just taking one bit. So and the stakeholder engagement is as important as many other things. So I think we have to sort of ask people what would like to see in their cities rather than as an expert we come in and say you need this. So it has to come from the people. So we've done many of those stakeholder engagement. When I say stakeholder, it could be academia, people, civil societies, the private sectors, and all of those actually. So we've done many of those, and the social aspect of the projects also very important in here. So especially gender equality, social inclusion. So Haluk given a very good example of when he was in America. So how did we get the people, society involved, taking care of the transport system for the the people who can't walk. So I think that aspect and many other aspects of the inclusion is quite key in any of the smart cities, the project that we are coming up. And also we actually in the world, so we are developed jointly to assessment tools. So every step of the project, we are using a SDG tool to see where we are within all the SDGs, the UN Habitat Sustainable Development Goals. So we are sort of comparing and trying to, and also this is not only us as a designer or we are also getting involved with the UN Habitats and also the municipality team. As a team, we are looking at it. So say we have done this report. So did we really did what we said in terms of the sustainability goals? So I think that's also quite an important aspect. So I think hopefully that will give you, I know I've gone through it very quickly, but as an example, so it is a 24 months program. So we are in the last 3-4 months, hopefully towards the September time. So we'll be able to publish all the work that we have been doing it. So it should give us a good grounding for other cities to follow. Thank you.
We would like to thank you very much, and we are very much enthusiastic for your works, and we are looking forward to hearing your comments. From that onwards, I'll proceed with Mohamad Ayoub, because everything that has been mentioned here said, yes, technology is okay, technology could be used, but first, human beings, people must be at the center, people must be prioritized. Everybody has underlined that. I want to ask this question to you, Mr. Ayoub. So in the future cities, the benefit of the technology, if you want to maximize the benefit of the technology, how can we understand the importance of the human behavior? What is the importance of human behavior? I don't know how to explain this to you. I've made it up right now. It's a bit complicated in my Turkish, but I hope you got it. In order to maximize the technology's benefit, we have to take the humans' behaviors into consideration, and we have to cooperate along with that. It is not independent from that. And you are going to touch upon it, I guess. What can you say about the human behavior? Thank you.
I think you're touching a very important point here, right? So the digitalization for the sake of digitalization is not going to take us anywhere. It's going to be just transforming some of the data that we've never looked at or had and put them somewhere in a data lake somehow, right? There are two types of how people can really influence the digitalization and digital transformation in general. The first one is like when we are digitalizing, we need to digitalize based on what people are expecting to see and how they are really expecting those inputs to return into an outcome to them, Hakan. Meaning that while you are digitalizing, you need to put in consideration that you're digitalizing what really matters. This is not the only thing that we need to look at. After we digitalize, we need to ensure that the output that we get is influencing the people behavior while they are living, while they are developing, while they are going to their work and others. Because there will be a huge amount of insights that will govern or change the way that we will be living in the future based on the data that we collect from our communities, from our cities, from our workplaces and others. I'll just give you an example of how technology and people need to align to ensure that we maximize the benefit of digitalization and ensure that the digitalization happens towards the good goal, right? I would say that if you came back to me like 2 years back and you were telling me that we will have, this webinar, it will be useful, you will be able to close deals or basically sign contracts, do negotiation, or even do an engineering workshop via Zoom or via Skype or Teams or whatever it is, it was like really impossible to imagine. It was really impossible to comprehend and to be accepted. But today, having or being under the pressure of the COVID-19, we are seeing these things happening on a daily basis. And this was actually due to two factors. One, we had the technology, and the technology was there even before the COVID, but we had the social acceptance and adoption for that technology to start implementing it. Of course, we were under the pressure of COVID, but imagine that we don't do that under any pressure, and we do it in order to maximize the benefit. We stop flying from one country to another for having a meeting, and we replace that by a Zoom meeting or by a Teams meeting. Doing stuff more, I would say, cost-effective, environmentally aware, with an environmental awareness in our mind, as well as to ensure that we are maximizing the benefit of utilizing the available tools and technologies to ensure that we get our work done and maximize the benefit of this. So I think it's, as I was saying, social acceptance of digitalization is important, and digitalization taking the social, I would say, expectation as part of the digitalization process is really a key, because at the end of the day, we don't want to come up with a product or a digital content that is completely disconnected and not related to what the people are expecting and what really matters to the people. So environmental and the people behavior is a major guide for technology, and it is a major guide for maximizing the benefit that we can get from the technology.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You have summarized it very well. Really, society and technology must be brought together. I mean, it is not, of course, just converging them or just integrating them. It is not the case. We have to be bringing them together. I think this is definitely something we have to be thinking through. It is not easy. It is not going to be very easy in the future. Technology is not just paving the way, it's not opening all the doors. We have to be thinking about its dimensions. We have to think more and more before we act. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayoub, for your comments. Now, I want to give the floor to Mr. Fatih Türkoğlu. Fatih Türkoğlu, actually we had some questions, but there is a specific issue from Konya. It's been worried a lot. That's why I'd like to ask this question to you. With respect to these smart cities, the most important thing is about the protection of the data. One of our spectators asked this question. There is a data center project in Konya of Türk Telekom. What about that project? What stage is that project in right now? Can you please talk about it? Actually, you have touched upon cybersecurity issue a bit. Maybe with this project detail, you can also go further in the details of this project, and you can finalize your speech. Thank you very much. Hakan Bey, actually, if I'm to wrap everything up, data protection and data process is as important as the development of the technology. And big data centers must be established in order to protect the data. As Türk Telekom, We are the biggest and most efficient cybersecurity enabler of the country, and we have been establishing data centers for many years, like in Istanbul and Ankara. We have made investments on these data centers, and if I'm not mistaken, it is a public integrated big data center. We are going to make a lot of savings. It was on the agenda of the government, but the format of the project was changed. As Türk Telekom, we would make investments in Ankara, and we want to meet the needs of our people in the surrounding cities. We have already developed our centers, so the format of that project has been changed. And 5G, for instance, it has been also stated, and some people said that since we don't have required technologies, that's why we can't use 5G. But let me say in that way, we have the necessary ecosystem and equipments and technologies. It has its necessary equipments, but 5G is going to take us beyond to this capacity. IoT platforms are valid in our lives, and also there are sensors transferring data to the IoT platforms, and there's frequency between this. They could be differentiated in different names, but let's start with the current structure, current technology items. Our fiber optic investments could meet the needs of our people, and if it is needed, we could also enhance our investments. 5G will be the cream on top of this, and 5G will take us to very much beyond of our current capacity. It is not about 5G usage. IoT means something else. Erdal Bey has stated it before, and yes, we try to do everything in big chunks, but we can't do it if we wait big things to happen. We have to slice those big chunks into small pieces. If you can do it, you can be successful. If you, as a municipality, have small budget, then you can start within the restrictions of your budget. If you have better budgets, then you can start with big projects. Other than this, by getting together in workshops, actually we lose time. Maybe small municipalities can carry out some online projects. Maybe citizens' jobs, citizens' procedures could be enabled on the online environment. They should put smart cities projects aside, and they should just initiate some projects on the online system so that their citizens' lives could be enabled, and the big cities could be leaders in our country for other cities. And last but not least, I'd like to say one thing. Under the presidency's cyber transformation, there is cyber clustering platforms, and there are many youngsters and startups, SMEs, working for cybersecurity clusterings, and ecosystems and big companies could bring together, actually, and maybe smart city cluster, like these cybersecurity clusters, could be facilitated so that big technology providers and smart city planners can come together, and it might give us a catalyst effect so that it will be accelerated. Other than that, everybody will be walking on the way alone, and we can't find the gap on our puzzle. Thank you very much, Fatih Bey. Maybe 5G issue could be tackled in another session, because I talked to Erdal in a couple of weeks' time. We had the dialogue of an hour or so, and he said that 5G is not going to be like 4G, 4.5G. It's going to create a huge difference. And if we be one of the latecomers, then it will create big problems. 5G must be handled in another dimension. There are questions and comments, but we are at the end, and I've already exceeded the time. It's a lack of my skill as a moderator. I'll give the floor to Haluk in the last part, and I'll just make my last comment. So, citizens, stakeholders and also economically important stakeholders must be included in the management of the city administration. This is one of the comments of our participants. And Haluk Bey, you have the floor. In 1 or 2 minutes, we will finalize the session. Yes, time has fly. Time flies, as you can say, and pilot projects and also personal training, stakeholders, participants, governance, and their contribution to the process. Everything here has been available in our strategy document, and the strategy document has been shared with the Ministry of Environment and Urbanization. We hope that it's going to be implemented soon, and we will take the necessary steps that we need to take. Yes, I agree with Erdal Bey. We always want to do everything all together. In English, it says there's baby steps. So we have to take the baby steps. That Seattle example, there is a disabled person. So it was a baby step. And another baby step was in 1995 in Tokyo. So the pedestrian way had some bumps on the way. And I asked, what is this? And I saw a person, a blind person. He was following those bumpy road, and he felt that the road is ending there, and he sees the traffic. He doesn't see the traffic lights. That's why he listens to the traffic lights announcement. So even walking on the road could be enabled. It is very important in terms of the high quality life of people. In the world, there are 26, 27 cities having more than 10 million population. We have these mega cities, and the population will hit even higher numbers, like 9 billion, 9.5 billion. And the urbanization rate is right now 50-55%, but by the end of 2015, it will have been 75%, and the city population is 3.5 billion, but in the upcoming years, it will be tripled or doubled. So for that reason, big cities and small cities and medium scale cities needs must be evaluated differently, and solutions must be tailored to their needs. Smart cities and action plan strategies must be evaluated in that respect, and the relevant residential areas needs should be assessed. Pilot projects and target criteria must be taken into consideration based on the needs of the cities, and humanity will sail for a better future, because we have to say no to this trend, to this course, because we can't find a better planet. We have only this planet. We don't have any other world, right? So that we have to be protecting our world for the next generation, and we have to keep our world in a livable place. As the Indians said, nature is something that is not inherited from our past, but it is something that we have to leave the next generations in the best way possible. Thank you. Erdal Bey, yes, please. I'd like to thank Istanbul Forum, and my issue, my problem is to find a way to get out of the mid-income level trap. So world foreign income, foreign capital must be attracted to Turkey. This was my dream. Singapore model was initiated with an industrial park. We don't need IMF. We don't need any other organization. We need a great legislation, Singapore legislation, like in other legislations. If we can use it, if we have the chance to get out of that mid-income level trap, we need to be utilizing those legislation. I just wanted to touch upon that. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to me. I'd like to thank all the panelists. Thank you very much. You have shared very valuable information with us. Haluk Sur, Erdal Aksoy, Mr. Mohamad, Ayoub, Budak, and A.Faruk Göksu, and Fatih Göksu. Thank you very much. You have opened new horizons for us. On my behalf, I found it very pleasurable, very enjoyable. We've taken much of your time, but I'm sure that our participants, our attendees, have appreciated our work here. That's why it's been a bit longer than it was supposed to be. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary, but I'm sure that in its 21st age, we will be having many more experts, qualified people who have already assumed responsibilities will be delivering their information and knowledge and experience to us, and Forum Istanbul will be continuing its journey. I'd like to celebrate and congratulate its 20th anniversary, and I'd like to thank you for your patience. Thank you so much for your participation. I wish you a great health, and I hope and wish for all of us a sustainable future. And thank you so much. And excuse us for all of our mistakes. Thank you so much, Mr. Hakan. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a great moderation. Thank you. Thank you.